Welcome back to Polar Night and welcome back to this ship. I know we're all stuck in here, but hey, if it helps anyone, subscribe, like, comment down below, and yeah, let's get it and we'll blow. Rufus, Aaron, and Donna. Dana White, I don't know. Just call her Miss D. And I had to. Wait. Rufus. And I had to chase the son of a bitch across the base to get my pants back. Then the bastard threw them into a shower stall with a private and got them all soaked. Okay. Are we recording? Oh yeah, we definitely are. So there I was at roll call. My pants plastered to my ass and legs, and I was the only one naked from the waist up. Okay, what a fun little story by Rufus. The rest of those at the bar were laughing. June almost doubled over and Miss D wiping a tear as Rufus told some raunchy story. He already had a pint of beer from which he audibly gulped in between, boisterously recounting something outrageous. Aaron had cider, I think. He sipped from it delicately when he wasn't chuckling along to Rufus' antics. Donna, it's not Donna. Donna is Donna. It's Dana. Dina? It's Dana. It's gotta be Dana. Dana also had a pint of beer, already half drained. Before my eyes, she gulped it greedily before nearly choking at something Rufus was saying. Hey, mind if I take a seat? Chris Hansen? Oh, Garret, sure. Though you missed some crazy shit Rufus got up to. So the sergeant made me get down and give him 50, and as I got to 33, he made a ripping noise and mimed the splitting of something with his hands. I found myself mooning the entire squad. Dana and June burst into giggles while Aaron facepalmed. Let me guess, he gave you even more push-ups. 100, plus a lap around the base with my ass showing. I admit, the mental image was both funny and kind of appealing. I joined in the chuckling as June sidled along the bar toward me. Gotcha anything? She gotta have some kind of accent. And I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna butcher it like a freaking butcher in a butcher shop, cutting that meat. She motioned to the bar, stocked to the gills with a variety of spirits. My stomach tightened and my smile faded a little. No, thank you. I don't drink. Seriously? What kind of man are you? I bristled, not appreciating her implication. A man who doesn't drink. Yikes, I shot her a glare and she noticed I wasn't laughing, nor, for that matter, were the others. Christ, it was just a joke, lighten up. Hey, anyone else want something? I can whip up a real good pina colada. Oh, me, please. Hey, I'll take a pint of that Norwegian beer. One Lervig coming right up. Much obliged. I'll have another pint too. Alrighty. Hey Garret, what was that commotion with those two about? He pointed to the table where they'd been sitting moments before. Sounded pretty intense. Gail doesn't seem the type to get pissed like that. Admittedly, the argument had still left me a little shaken. They have a disagreement about whether the crew is still alive. We gathered that much. Well, I don't know what to say. I don't even know how much I should say. It's really up to them to explain it if they want. So I just had to move the monitor a bit so I could, read that a bit better. They kind of look pretty upset. It might be a good idea to check on them. Sorry. Leave them alone. Like Garret said, if they want to explain, that's up to them. Besides, they're sisters. They'll figure it out on their own. I agree. It's a family problem. It's a family matter, and I think we'll only step in if things get a bit feisty or something. But for now, it's a normal, typical thing where family members argue about minor shit. I don't know. I hate it when ladies fight. Much rather hear them laugh than shout. Oh, Rufus, you're such a sweetheart. Don't think women shouldn't fight or argue? No, I just hate it when they do. Feels wrong. Wait, is this... Wait. I'm trying to think. The chivalry, chauvinistic? Chauvinistic, don't you think? I guess I'm kind of like a knight in that regard. Chivalry then, huh? You're thinking of chivalry. Arran, June, Dana, and I exchanged baffled looks, but ended up smiling anyway. It was sort of a sweet sentiment. Arran, June, Dana, and oh wait, sorry, my fucking brain just stopped and deleted the sentence that I just read. I'm sorry. So, Dana, Captain McGregor was her dad? In response, she necked her beer, audibly gulping before thumping the glass down and sighing. Even Rufus, already having emptied his first glass, gave her a funny look. Emphasis on was. Why? Well, I was just curious about him. The inquiry said some stuff about how he'd had problems with... Wasn't Carrie the navigator? Oh, now we're... Oh, now we're pointing fingers, huh? Sorry, I just had to drink a glass of water. A tense look shot between me and Rufus. June's smile faded again as she poured a pint, seemingly bracing herself for another argument. Yes? In other words, the one who was supposed to keep the Arran, you know, not lost. Okay, now we're picking a fight. Despite not being in physical contact, I could feel his body tense. A soft tapping against his bar stool hit my ears. His paw was rapidly bouncing off it. It's an instinctual thing for Lapine. I'm sorry, everyone. I gotta search this real quick. It's gotta be something here. It's like Lupin, right? Lapine. Lapines. Lapin. It's not Lapines. That's stupid. It's an instinctual thing for Lapines. Lapinas. Rapidly thumping the ground with a paw in response to stress and occasionally fear. But judging by the sound of grinding teeth, this was less stress and more fury. He turned, facing her fully with murderous look in his eyes. The fuck are you suggesting? Yikes, we're gonna... Oh yeah, what are you trying to suggest, huh? Oh fuck no, we are not having this bullshit. Calm down. What do you think I'm suggesting? Heard she had an eye for someone on board? You saw those position reports? Maybe Carrie was distracted. You say that again. Hey guys, enough. Though his rich, deep voice... I'm sorry, I can't add in that rich, deep voice for him. We need another person here talking, man. Lent weight to his command, it was June who took us all by surprise. That is more than enough, both of you. Even Dana seemed taken aback. For such a sweet-hearted girl, June barked like a drill instructor. Fury etched on her face. I mean, she's a aquatic creature. The seas aren't easy to survive. If we're going to be at each other's throats, you can leave this ship right now. Do I make myself clear? I can't really scream, everyone. I'm saving energy for... I got a big day tomorrow, and it's a big day. So there was silence in the room. Even Aaron's foot had stopped thumping. Perfectly fine. June's expression remained stern, but she placed the beer in front of Dana before she'd had the chance to place Aaron or Rufus's drinks. Dana gulped from her new pint, draining half in a single go. I glanced at Rufus, meeting his eyes. Clearly, his buzz had been very much killed. He gulped silently from his fresh pint. Aaron accepted his cocktail from June, but he simply poked at it, enthusiasm gone. With the mood very much ruined, I had no reason to sit here anymore. I excused myself. Yikes! We sat with everyone and they all got into some scuffle or some stumble of fuffle. Let's go for a smoke. I think that's the best thing. To de-escalate, to de-stress, you gotta go for a quick smoke break. I'm not pushing that shit, okay? Calm down, YouTube. It's just part of the character. My nerves were jittery enough when I saw the clock above the bar. 12:18 a.m. It was just over 10 minutes before the ship departed. If I was going to back out of this, now was the time to decide. Trying to conceal my shaking hand, I fished my pack of smokes out of my pocket and glanced within. A single white filter stared back. My last smoke. If it didn't count the stash I left in my room, that is. I felt a jolt of mild panic. Would I have enough to last me the fortnight and change this trip was likely to take? If you're looking for more cigarettes, we sell them here at the commissary. Yo, for sure, tell the commissary. No, I'm kidding. June had obviously spotted me examining my pack. She gave me a little smile, eyes twinkling. Ordinarily, I'd be relieved to know where to get more smokes, but my perfect excuse was now gone. I returned to a strained grin and stalked off to the door to the deck. The bracing chill wind hit particularly hard after exiting the warm, cozy lounge. My nose would absolutely dry out in this weather. I wasn't looking forward to that. I remembered Mom and how I told her I would let her know my progress. Pulling my phone out, I typed, "On board to Sylvia, I'm okay. Love ya. Talk to you tomorrow." I guess I could call, but I really wasn't in the mood for a conversation right now. Yeah, he just had like 3 conversations and all of them went a bit south, I'll be honest. At least she knew I was here, safe and sound. I moved further up the deck, towards the bow. Yeah, I slid the cigarette out of the box and I took it between my lips. I brought my lighter up. Ooh. Mother of a... Oh no. Why, of all times, did it suddenly decide that now was the perfect time to stop working? Cagdela? The sounds of heavy hoof boots announced Joseph's arrival. I offered a small wave before going back to trying to light my smoke. He watched me with those piercing eyes as I awkwardly tried to light up. And then just like that, it flickered to life. I drew on my smoke and felt its warmth fill me up. I couldn't remember ever having issues lighting up. I hope it wasn't an omen. With a heavy sigh, I blew a thick cloud of smoke. Rip that cloud, buddy. Buddy. I blew a thick cloud of smoke from my muzzle and closed my eyes, allowing my muscles to loosen. The wailing of my addiction, indulged once again, quietened. Need the light? He stepped closer, leaning on the railing and gazing out of the port at the twinkling of the Longyearbyen lights. No, thank you. We stood there in silence for a while. I joined him in staring out towards the town. It was so calm and quiet, inviting. I should still have time if I ran to grab my pack. My mind bounced back and forth as I anxiously debated. You want to leave? Glancing at him, I noticed he was watching me intently. It wasn't a question but a statement of fact. I took another draw and turned, leaning my hips against the railing. Am I that obvious? Like open book. His English was a little awkward, and his accent was pretty thick. Despite his size, his eyes held warmth, perhaps concern. With a heavy sigh, I blew a thick cloud of smoke from my muzzle. Why the fuck am I here? My rhetorical question echoed around the deck as I made a gesture with my hand, indicating to Sylvia. This is pointless. We're not going to find them. Yet you came anyway. My mom wants me here. As far as I'm concerned, my brother can go. The bile rose up in my throat as I caught myself just before I could launch into a rant. Seriously, why was I saying this to a guy I met an hour ago and barely said 2 words to? The bull seemed to move, watching me evenly with a sidelong glance before slowly turning to look back towards the lights of the town. We were quiet once more, but this time I got the impression he was deep in thought, considering what to say. The billowing mist from his nostrils suggested deep, slow, and even breaths compared to my own shallow and slightly elevated breaths. Thinking about Connor had gotten me worked up again. I could feel my tail curling upwards slightly in agitation. You should leave. That surprised me. He spoke with certainty, glancing sidelong at me once more. You sound pretty sure. This ship. He slowly nodded his huge head back towards the ship. Not good. Not good? Duh. He returned my baffled look with a blank expression, his eyes never leaving mine. Meaning what exactly? He looked away, his gaze focusing on something in the distance. A few awkward moments passed without an answer. Well, going to answer? For a few moments more, he was silent before slowly pushing himself back upright and turning to face me. For a few moments more, he was silent before slowly pushing himself back, upright, and turning to face me, towering over me. Just know, this trip is dangerous. Can't say more. I was about to demand a better explanation when the sounds of boots drew my gaze towards the ship's main deck. There you are. June was quick walking towards us, waving brightly. Glad I found you, Garret. The ship will be departing shortly. I want to check if you're still okay. God damn, was I that obvious to everyone? Yeah, your tail was like, doing that weird thing. I gave Joseph a long, hard glare, debating whether to challenge him again on his cryptic warning. But the giant just stared back, completely nonplussed. Yeah, I took another draw, looking wistfully back at the town. Having second thoughts about this trip, I just don't know why I need to be here. If we find something, I'll know about it eventually when you return. I'm basically just a glorified tourist. Don't you want to be there if we do find something though? I don't want to pry, but if you really want to leave, I'll ask the captain to wait till you've disembarked. Really? Of course! Sheriff likes to play the boss, but you all put money into this just as he did. If the trip is delayed a few minutes, no one will care. They both watched me intently. June with a look of kindly concern, Joseph a more analytical look. It was difficult to discern his facial expressions. Casting a look back towards the town, its lights beckoning to me, memories of Mum came flooding back to me. Images of the misery and inconsolable grief she'd endured. Of the almost manic delight she'd shown when that fucking letter first arrived. A couple of weeks on a glorified tourist ship? If that's what it took. Fuck. I took a final draw on my cigarette before stubbing it out on the metal bulwark. I came all the way, might as well see it through, right? That's the spirit? Joseph watched me with a curious look before simply nodding and looking back out towards town. What say we go inside? Dinner's ready. Don't want to miss out. Actually, I think I'll skip it. Pretty tired and I had a long flight, but thanks. Fair enough. Good night and sweet dreams. We walked together back into the lounge before parting ways at the doors leading to the cabins. The entire time, gnawing at the back of my mind was a voice screaming that I should grab my bag and dash for the gangway. My stomach felt like it was going to empty itself all over the floor the entire way. The sense of building dread as my window of escape closed filled my thoughts the entire way back to my cabin. Once again, I like this cabin. This is cozy. As soon as the door was closed, I locked it behind me and leaned my head against the cold wood. Losing my opportunity to leave was weighing heavily. Now I was in this for the long haul. Resentment bubbled inside me. I was taking potentially weeks out of my life to be a tourist on a search that combined efforts of many ships, aircraft, and rescue organizations failed to turn up anything on. All for Connor. No. Mom asked me to do this, knowing for sure was all important to her. I turned, quickly stripping off my winter clothing. The interior of the ship was slightly chilly once I was naked, which is how I liked it. It's a lot easier to sleep when it's slightly too cold, but you can wrap yourself up in the covers than when it's too hot. Matted fur is not fun, and when you already smell of tobacco, I stiffed my arm. My sense of smell was not what it once was, but I still reeked of the stuff. I kept reminding myself the many reasons to quit smoking, but when the nerves hit, it was like being on autopilot. I decided to grab a quick shower. I was pretty pungent. Even ignoring the smoke, wearing thick winter clothes does work up a sweat. Grabbing my toiletries bag from my pack, I padded into the small bathroom. Once again grateful to have a cabin to myself. I didn't have to worry about someone barging in. Damn, it's a nice bathroom. The bathroom was tiny, just barely enough to fit the toilet, shower, and sink. Kind of a sharp contrast to the bedroom. As soon as I flickered on the light, I saw a tall, skinny wolf staring at me in the mirror. Or at least one eye was. I looked like a freak. Among many reasons I avoided relationships, the scars on my right wrist were something I always kept covered, even though they were on the sides of my wrist rather than the underside. I was worried people would confuse it with self-harm. Was a conversation I could absolutely do without? The fact they were bite scars would only lead to more questions and... I was reminded of a particularly insufferable workmate at my last job who would not stop asking about my eye. Part of the reason I grew out my hair to cover it, even if technically it was against safety regs. The scar running down my face over my left eye aligned almost perfectly with the middle. Livid, furry skin, scarred from the claw that robbed me of vision in that eye. And further down my muzzle, another scar, and like on my eye, this one was always in my field of view. A constant reminder. Fuck. That familiar stinging began in my ruined eye. I fumbled for my bag. Tears poured uncontrollably from my eye, and my face scrunched up in response to the pain. My hand pulled out and tossed the stuff within the side or onto the floor as I scrabbled for my proxy. My hand touched a small bottle, and as I brought it out, the white-colored eye drops bottle came into focus. With practiced ease, I tilted back my head, forced open my eye with one hand, and squeezed several drops onto the scarred surface of my left eye. Ouch, that was a flashbang if I ever seen one. After a few moments, the drops took effect and a cooling, soothing sensation washed away the pain. The trigger for the pain was still a mystery. Doctors suggested anxiety, whether even my smoking. But I knew the ultimate cause. Son of a bitch. You know, the more I look at this, I think this was more like an actual fight. I thought it was like some kind of, whoa, it got crazy or something. No, I think it was just a scuffle with his brother. And yeah. I threw the vial back in my bag. For the proximethicane, I typically only needed it once every couple of weeks. I already needed to use it twice in a single day. I had a bunch of bottles to tide me over, but I felt a renewed pang of anxiety as I realized I would need to be careful. 2 weeks in this weather might drain my supplies quickly. I scooped up the bottle of shampoo from where I'd tossed it aside, hunting for my eye drops. The shower was kind of cramped, but at least everything looked pretty well maintained. As the hot water poured over me, I felt the filth of a long, sweaty trip and many smoke breaks slow off me. Slough off me, I think. No, let me search for that word. Wait a minute. Let me search for that. I'm searching it. I'm curious. Slough. Well, I fucked that word up twice. Not even a thank you. My eyes closed in bliss. I worked the shampoo into my fur and built a lather. Moving my hands through my fur, I worked the soap to my body and my hair. The soothing warmth loosened my taut muscles. The moment I nearly lost my temper back when we were walking to the Sylvia come rushing back. An intrusive thought that triggered a renewed pang of guilt. The way I'd snarled and bared my fangs at a fellow person, even though nothing he'd done or said warranted it. It wasn't the first time, and I hated it every single time it had happened. It was impossible to resist, though an ingrained instinct, like laughing or sneezing. It wasn't the first time, and I hated it every single time it had happened. It was impossible to resist, though an ingrained instinct, like laughing or sneezing. When you feel that sharp surge of rage, it just wakes right up. At the end of the day, we can't resist our deepest impulses. Stepping out, I caught a glimpse of myself in the mirror. My bedraggled fur briefly distracted from my scarring. I pulled on a towel, warm straight from the rack, and began to dry myself. My mixed feelings about this trip were being quickly buried under a wave of fatigue. It had been a very long way here. I finished off my evening routine by brushing my teeth and giving myself one final dose of eye drops for the night. As I re-entered what would be my bedroom for the next few weeks, the freshly made bed looked so inviting. My bag was still sitting on my bed. I rummaged around for my phone charging cable. I rummaged around for my phone charging cable. Fortunately, I'd remembered to bring a region adapter for the power socket. June mentioned breakfast was at 8:30. I decided to set my alarm for 8 a.m. just to give me time to get my shit together. I wasn't a morning person. Same thing, buddy, buckaroo. I pulled back the cover and half collapsed under the slightly chilly sheets. Seats? Chris Hansen? Brief thoughts of what lay before us flickered through my mind before sudden, overwhelming exhaustion hit me. Within minutes, I was out like a light. Like a light, baby. Like a light. I didn't remember much from my dream. They tended to be bizarre and utterly nonsensical, with a disconcerting number of them involving me being at college again. But having skipped so many classes, there was no chance I would pass my exam, which didn't really make sense as I was a pretty good student. My brain had ways of finding new and ever more ingenious ways of tormenting me though. I slept lightly, drifting in and out of a restless sleep. I didn't sleep well in new places, which was hardly unusual, but the gentle sway of the ship in the water and the low hum of the engines added an extra alien quality. That knot in my stomach lingered. Part of me was furious with myself for not demanding we turn back and let me off, but that would be an imposition on everyone else. I awoke fully, turning over in bed. It was pleasantly cool, enough that I pulled the covers a little higher. It was absolutely pitch black though. Not even the dimmest moonlight came through the windows. As alien as it was, there was also tranquil quality. Out here for the next few days at least, I was at complete liberty. No work, no obligations. The realization helped loosen that knot in my stomach a little, and I flipped onto my belly, nuzzling into the plump, cool pillow. Who's talking? Screaming? The sharp female scream sent a jolt through my body. My eyes snapped fully open, for all the good they would be in the inky blackness. My ears pricked up, the fur in my neck spiking as I strained to hear. It couldn't have been real, right? Instinctually, I reached over to the bedside light. My hands swatted at the wall, fumbling in the dark until I found the switch. Click. Nothing happened. Click, 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 click. What the fuck is up with the lights? I pushed myself up and tried to disentangle my legs from the duvet. Somehow It's gotta be duvet. Or duvet. I'm searching this. We gotta make sure, buddy. Pronunciation. It's a blanket. No, it's a comfort. You should call it a comforter. Yeah. Pronunciation. Duvet. Oh my god. Am I absent? No, I kinda had to double check. I pushed myself up and tried to disentangle my legs from the duvet. Somehow my attempts to kick them off only made it wrap around my paws. Get the fuck off! I finally freed myself and scrambled to my paws, suddenly realizing that I now have no idea where the door was. My eyes were adjusting slowly and the vague outlines of objects started to coalesce. I stumbled to the door, arms outstretched just in case. I could already hear a commotion out in the hallway as my hand fumbled for the door lock. Hey, the corridor was just as dark. The ship must have had a power failure. Strange. Which, being at sea, very much did not bode well. Who's there? Who screamed? Stefan? I saw the vague outline of the possum was also groping blindly in the dark. I guess his night vision wasn't as good as mine. Garret, where are you? I can't see a goddamn thing! Guys, it was Tabby. I heard her screaming. What in God's name is happening? Ow, watch it. Sorry, I can't see. The four of us called out in frustration. Even with my night vision, I could only barely see where they were. Well, the limits of night vision is that when there's absolutely no light, night vision is pretty much useless. It only works because there's still some light coming from the night sky. It's not like the world is just... It's not like the sun decided to turn off, you know. Rufus, just to her right. Their cabin door is right there. He moved carefully toward their door, the rest of us following as carefully as we could. A loud thump sounded from the door as Rufus hammered it with a meaty fist. Tabby? Gale? You all okay? We clustered around the door, the scent of burnt lemons invading my nose. I couldn't blame them for being scared though. That scream had chilled my very blood. As I strained my ears, I could hear quiet voices, Gale's and Tabby's. One hysterical and raised, the other soothing and soft. It's okay, Rufus. Everything's fine. Just didn't expect the lights to go out. Didn't sound like everything's okay. You all sure you're fine? Yeah, just give me a moment, okay? Let me get decent. I heard more movement from the room just before a surge of humming rose in volume until... It felt like someone shot lasers to my eyeball. And judging by the reaction of the others, it didn't fare much better from the sudden light. It took a few moments for my good eye to adjust, but the more it did, the more the other guys came to view and... Well, god damn! Dude, is this really the time? 2 twinks and a beefcake. I feel spoiled. Twink? Beefcake? Before we could give him a piece of our minds. Yeah, damn, this guy's beefed up. Do I have to censor this? I guess I gotta kind of low-key censor some of them because they are in their boxers. So I don't know how YouTube does well with this. Before we could give them a piece of our minds, the sound of the cabin door clicking open pulled our attention. I'm so sorry. I hope we didn't scare you guys. Oh. Well, aren't you fellas a sight for sore eyes? I know, right? Both Stefan and Rufus looked a little smug. I, on the other hand, shivered and shrank on myself, hunching a little and turning my wrists away, hiding the bite scars. I realized now that even Stefan had a nice physique, especially in comparison to my own bony frame. You all sleep in your undies? I sleep naked, but figured y'all wouldn't want to see my bits flopping around in an emergency. Oh, you figured wrong. Jesus Christ, can you all focus for a second? Gail, what happened? Tabby sounded really scared. Oh, right, well, she trailed off at the sound of frantic footsteps hammering down the stairs from the upper deck. A moment later, June skidded into view looking harried. Guys, I'm so sorry. Is everyone okay? She was breathing heavily, clearly having sprinted here. The fact that 4 guys were standing here in our necks didn't seem to faze her. Serious scenarios regard to be serious. June, relax, everything's fine. Tabby just got scared is all. Oh, I heard the scream. She glanced back at the cabin door for a moment. She has nyctophobia. A collective sigh of realization went up from our group. Given how pitch black it had been, if the lights had suddenly failed, that would explain her panicking. Rufus, on the other hand, looked confused. Nycto, what now? I'm sorry, that ain't contagious, is it? Hey, what's the deal? Did they say something wrong? Nyctophobia. It means fear of the dark. Rufus' look of confusion turned to a look of deep regret. I'm real sorry, Gail. I didn't mean nothing by it. Don't be silly, Rufus. No offense taken. And I appreciate you boys coming to check on us, really. But for now, I really need to be with Tabby. If you could just bear with us, I'm really sorry for alarming you all. Gail, if it helps, we have some battery-powered electric lanterns. They last ages and have adjustable brightness. Those could help if the lights go out again. Huh? Oh, that would be wonder, Bob. Thank you so much, Danke. I'm kidding. On that note, what exactly happened? Did we have a power cut? Oh, sorry. Shavif and the captain wanted to test the new sonar equipment, but it tripped the light circuit and, well, you know. Oh. Stefan looked like he was going to say something, but June clapped her hands and interjected. I'll come by your cabin in about 10 minutes with the lantern, Gail. I just need to update the captain first, so just bear with me a bit, okay? And for the rest of you, I'm really sorry. I'll make sure the captain knows not to retry the test unit until the power system is prepared, okay? Rufus and Arran both gave nods and grunts of approval while Stefan seemed to be staring up at something on the ceiling. June gave a little wave before trotting back towards the stairs, then disappeared up towards the main deck. Okay, fellas, as much as I wish I could enjoy the view a little more, my little sis needs me. But seriously, thank you. She gave us a grateful smile, a small wave, and slipped back to her cabin, locking the door behind her. Now that we were left alone, I felt pretty exposed. Arran was very much scanning us with hungry eyes, as though committing the sight to memory. Well, boys, don't know about you, but I'm bushed. Gonna hit the hay now. Aw, so soon? Stefan, however, was still staring at the ceiling, and now I traced his gaze to find what he was so interested in. So, why didn't they come on? My eyes found what he was so focused on, a light marked with red tape that was not currently lit. What do you mean? The emergency lights? Yeah, that's a good question. I was about to say. I ain't an expert, but aren't they supposed to switch on when the main lights fail? Exactly. So why didn't they? The engine never stopped, so the power didn't go completely. That's true. The tension in the air thickened as we each pondered the ramifications. Listen, I'm too tired to ponder this, but if you all want to wait till morning, we can bring this up with the captain. Both Arran and Stefan nodded in agreement. I made a mental note to also have a word with Joseph. We seem to have something of a rapport. Best I could tell, and as a bosun, we'd be one of the best people to ask about it. Plus, this ship, not good. This trip is dangerous, can't say more. I was starting to think there was a lot more to that warning. Alright, see you fellas in the morning, okay? Yeah, sure. I'm also a bit concerned that we are lacking a bit of staff. I expected to be a couple more, maybe 2 more people here? And more food? I don't know, I ain't no expert. if it's a really small ship, but this ship feels like a cruise ship, you'd think there would be a bit more people here, experts even. Stefan continued to gaze at the emergency light, seemingly lost in thought, before Rufus placed a huge hand on his shoulder and steered him back towards his cabin. Night, Garret. Night. Alright. The lights in my room were still out, though this time because they were still turned off. Click. I stared in my bed, the evening's drama rather killing my sleepiness. Even knowing how now wide Tabby had screamed, it still sent a shiver up my spine to think about it. And now the crash of Sylvia's emergency lights not working left me with a lot of questions. I moved over to the bed before slowly clambering back under the duvet, my thin coat of fur not totally protecting me from the chill. I reached out to the switch for the main room lights and flicked them. Even as I was plunged back into darkness, my mind was still racing. I reached for my phone to check the time. 2:14 a.m. That knot in my stomach was there, sitting heavily as my thoughts race. Now, every tilt and sway of the ship beneath me, every stray noise caught my attention. He's alert. That's a problem. With a deep breath, I closed my eyes and tried to push the events from my mind. I could deal with this in the morning for now. Funny enough, we do get more alert. Anxiety helps with that. I know, that is actually the... Anxiety is like, you have to be alert, you have to be cautious, you have to be in a panic mode, you have to be just locked in. That's what it was intended for? Now, it's more for minor stressful scenarios, things that we can't really control. Things that, especially like things that let's say it's a special event, you're about to give a speech. If you're an overthinker, oh my god, your anxiety is gonna go to the roof. So you're gonna be thinking, oh my, what if I said this? What if I forgot? What if all this? Your anxiety goes up. But then we forget, we absolutely did not fully realize that, you know what, these things aren't the things that we can control. The future, small events, variables, and all this. The only thing we can do is prepare for the best, prepare as much as we can, and hope for the best. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I say to you, sleepyheads, guys and gals. Prepare as much, better to be over-prepared, but try not to sweat it when you're already there. I just needed rest. Alright. And that's the end of the game, everyone. I'm kidding. It had been a supremely shitty day. Nursing a black eye and with my heart pounding in my chest, teeth grinding and adrenaline coursing through my veins, it took me several tries to get the keys in the lock. Once inside, I slammed the door, ignoring the yelp of surprise from the living room. Oh wait, what the fuck? Open inside, I slammed the door, ignoring the yelp of surprise from the living room. Clyde and Connor wouldn't be home yet, so it was just me and Mum. Garret, that you, pet? As much as it tore me up even more, I was in no mood to talk to her. I just descended to incoherent swearing and shouting, and I didn't want to subject her to that. So I just bottled it up as always. It's me, Mum. I'm heading upstairs. I don't want dinner. I gotta stop trying to add accents, man. I heard her plaintive voice call from the living room, but I didn't catch what she'd said. Thank Christ those two assholes weren't home. I genuinely think I'd have murdered someone otherwise. As I stomped up the stairs, seething, I stopped at the top of the stairs when I saw something. A door. My bedroom door open. That was when I heard rustling. Someone was going through my things. I marched on my door, not caring if it was Clyde. Any possible fear I had of him was buried under my volcanic rage. I told you to stay the fuck out of... Garret! My brother jumped as I appeared at the door, looking at me with shock. Connor. I hadn't expected him. He usually respected my privacy. Usually. I was about to scream at him, unload the boiling anger in my chest on him for invading my space. But that was when I saw what he had in his hands. My fury instantly cooled into something else. Absolute terror. My god, these little bits of pieces of lore. What the ooh. What did he see? What was that event? Questions and questions and questions, my friends. When I jolted awake, my heart was pounding in my chest. My jaw hurt. I'd obviously been clenching it during the night. It took a few moments for me to remember where I was. The gentle rolling of the Sylvia quickly brought me back. Ah, yes. I buried my face in my hands, choking back sobs. My limbs trembled and the adrenaline still coursed through me. I practiced my breathing, closing my eyes and taking deep, shuddering breaths. It was something I'd been taught by the last person I'd have ever expected to learn something like this from, and to make it sting even more, it actually worked. In, count to 3, hold. Count to 4, out. Count to 5. After a few minutes, my heart slowed and my breath came easier and the shivering ceased. I opened my eyes, wiped my tears, and finally took in my surroundings. It was still dark out, though at this time of year this far north, that didn't mean much. I rolled over and grabbed my phone on the bedside table. 7:48 a.m. My eyes still burned from the tears, but also fatigue. I'd barely slept at all, and even when I had finally dropped off, my nightmare shoot, it was not a restful one. Everyone in this fucking ship is carrying something. I don't like that. That's scary to think. How do we trust these people? How do we trust ourselves? I yanked off the covers and swung my legs over. The temperature in the room was uncomfortably cold. I padded over to the radiator and gripped it. Fuck me. Ice cold. Does anything work on this fucking ship? A loud rumble from my belly caught me off guard. I realized I hadn't eaten anything since lunch yesterday. My stomach folded into a knot. Breakfast wasn't until 8:30, less than an hour, but might as well have been years away. With a heavy sigh, I padded into the bathroom. Might as well shower and get dressed. Here we go, give it a shower. Hot showers, baby, in a cold winter or maybe cold day. Whew! My God. My thoughts had been so preoccupied with my stomach that I'd forgotten the lack of eating just seconds ago. The moment the ice-cold water hit me, I admit, I yelped like a pup whose tail had just been trodden on. I practically teleported across the bathroom in shock. I stared at the shower with a murderous gaze as though I had planned this. Then the embarrassment kicked in. I prayed that whoever was next door hadn't heard that yelp. The rest of my shower was short and I didn't bother with shampoo. By the time I stepped out, my limbs were shaking violently. At least I could strike tired from my current list of maladies. I thought as I glimpsed my grumpy, bedraggled form in the mirror. Pulling the towel from the metal rack, I vigorously dried myself. My eye felt okay, but I decided to put my... I gotta comment this. Not comment. I need to... pronunciation. Is it... How do you pronounce this? Yeah, it's Declo. That was an E. What? Okay, but I decided to put my Declo drops in anyway, just in case. I'm sorry, everyone. I don't use eye drops ever, so I can't really. I don't know. I didn't know the pronunciation of this. You know, I still have some. My eyes are still good. They're not dry eyes or whatever. Yeah, thank God for that. Just pray for others. You know, it's like something they have to deal with forever. For those who got surgery, LASIK or LASIK. You know, laser eye something surgery. Can't remember. Once back in my bedroom, I started putting on my clothes. Pretty expensive cold weather gear, but now I realized that I only had a single set of it. Changes of underwear and socks and shirts wouldn't mean much if I wore the same sweltering jacket and trousers for the next 2 weeks. I noted with chagrin. So many words that I'm pretty sure I've encountered and I forgot to pronounce it. Pronunciation. Chagrin. Oh, that's never knew. I noted with chagrin that the stench of smoke, that makes a lot more sense the way I pronounce that now. That the stench of smoke was still strong. I could clean up as much as I like. The moment I put these on, I'd be covered in it. My hands move as if on autopilot to my pockets. My left, my lighter. My right, my packet of cigarettes. I was halfway to pulling out my first light when it struck me. I was on a ship. I can't smoke here, not unless I want to set off the alarms and get a bollocking. Assuming the smoke alarms even work on this rust bucket. I slowly slid the lighter back into my pocket and returned the cigarette to the pack. After breakfast, I can hang on that long at least. As I entered the lounge, the scent of food instantly triggered another loud growl from my stomach. I could hear the sounds of frying and sizzling from the kitchen hatch. Oh, morning, Garret. Sleep well? She was standing by the hatch of the kitchen, holding a metal tray with a cover. She had oven mitts as she moved her over to the buffet stand. Oh yeah, pretty well. That whole drama notwithstanding, you know. Again, sorry about that. My stomach drew my attention to the tray she was carrying. It growled again, especially as June lifted the cover of the tray and a steaming batch of creamy scrambled eggs caught the glow of the buffet heat lamp. Food is ready, just needs setting out. Go grab a plate and a table. It'll just be a few more minutes. She sidled off to the hatch to pick up a new tray. As she did, I noticed her rubbing her left arm, near the elbow. She massaged her armpit and grimaced. Hey, you okay? Did you hurt your arm? Oh, this? She stopped rubbing her arm and gave me a chagrined smile, splaying her fingers and giving me jazz hands as if to demonstrate her functioning limbs. No, it's fine, just a little bruise. She frowned a bit, wincing as her movement obviously triggered her injury, and she rubbed her elbow again. My damn cabin door sticks. I had to really pull it this morning, and then it popped open and smacked to my elbow. I doubt that. I keep meaning to ask Joseph to take a look, but he's snowed under right now. I remembered the events of last night and how I thought to speak to Joseph about the emergency lights or the lack of them. I wasn't an expert on maritime law, but I figured having working emergency lights might be some kind of regulatory requirement. June would know. But before I could ask, my thoughts were interrupted by another growl from my stomach. June snickered, nudged me with her good arm, and marched back to the kitchen as to grab another tray of food. She lifted a rather large tray and winced, hesitating before walking carefully toward the buffet table. I watched, teeth clenched as she quick walked the last few paces and clanked it down, hissing through her teeth and rubbing her arm. June, why don't I carry the trays over? What? Oh no, absolutely not. You're a guest here. Really, it's not as bad as it seems. No, I can't do that. If someone's having a hard time, I gotta jump in there and gotta offer at least some kind of help. Even if I can't handle the whole tray, like just maybe I could grab some of the stuff there, lessen the burden. She put on a brave face, but I wasn't having it. June, I'm going to grab a tray. Why don't you serve up? I gestured to the buffet table filled with gleaming, chafing dishes under heat lamps. Garret, really? Honestly, it's fine. I may look like a twig, but I promise I can handle it. She gave a little snort. She'd seen me last night in my underwear, so she knew just how skinny I was under this jacket. My heart accelerated at the memory, not in the good way. Thanks, Garret. You're a sweetheart. I started shuttling the trays back and forth from the kitchen as she filled the buffet with piping hot, mouth-watering foods. Creamy scrambled eggs, crisp and golden hash browns, crispy vegetarian bacon and sausages, mushrooms and oh my god, this is mouth-watering, man. By the time I'd brought the final tray back to the kitchen and June was finishing stocking up the buffet, my belly was practically vibrating with hunger. Phew, great team effort, Mr. Reid. Indeed, Miss Caverin. Now if you don't mind, I'm going to grab breakfast before my stomach implodes. Sounds messy, don't let me keep you. She grinned and ambled off, disappearing up the steps to the bridge deck. I grabbed a plate and stared at the bounty before me. My goodness, some visual novels whip out the food, like visually, so I don't know, they might not do that. I'm pretty sure they're not. Admittedly, I'd have preferred some real bacon and sausage. I mean, Arran's just there. Whoa. But on a mixed species crew like this, it was to be expected that no real meat would be found. You might argue, oh, because eating meat is bad. No. Specific. This is why we're classified as carnivores, herbivores, omnivores, and all that shebang, right? It's specific the body can't eat that specific type of food or diet, or it can't really sustain it that long. Carnivores won't really be that. Carnivore's body won't have a nutritious protein, muscle, whatever. They're not eating meat. Or rabbits or whatever, their body can absolutely just grass or leaves or vegetables and whatnot, and they'd be fine without eating meat or anyway, you know. The far end of the buffet had fresh steamed vegetables of various kinds, followed by eggs and baked beans, mushrooms, and as I scanned to the other side, the foods become more decadent. Deciding to leave the vegetables, I grabbed a few hash browns and a scoop of scrambled eggs just as the door opened and Tabby walked in. Our eyes met for a moment. I had no idea how someone so slight could have such an intimidating gaze. Although she walked over, her expression was decidedly less unfriendly. Morning. Sleep well? Yikes. Do you even say it like that? Her less than stellar first night aboard hit me just as I spoke and I caught my tongue. Fortunately, she either didn't notice or didn't care. It's fine. Standoffish as per usual, but her tone wasn't hostile. She sidled up next to me and started to scoop some veg into her plate before serving the rest. I wanted to ask her if she was okay, but I didn't want to pry either. She struck me as someone who was pretty private And I didn't know if Gail had let on that she told us about her nyctophobia. Plus, she seemed to be in a relatively good mood for the first time since I'd met her, so might as well not bring down her mood, yeah? But I also didn't want to just pretend like nothing had happened. Surely she was smart enough to know that, even if we didn't know why, her scream was the reason for the commotion last night. The silence hung in the air until the awkwardness forced the words out of my mouth. So, are you okay? She turned to look at me, her expression unchanged as though she'd not quite heard me. Okay, what do you mean? I mean about last night. Immediately, her expression darkened and she gave me an accusing look. What about last night? Well, it started this. Might as well just bite the bullet. Gail said you have nyctophobia, and after that power cut, you seemed pretty upset. Just checking if you were okay. I cringed inwardly, expecting her to tell me to shove it or to shout at me. Instead, her expression shifted. I couldn't tell what she was feeling, but I could say she didn't seem pissed at me at least. Just, if you want to say anything, I'm sorry for sticking my nose into her business. I offered her a hurried apology and turned back to the food, grabbing tonguefuls of stuff with little thought just to escape the situation as quickly as possible. I'm okay. Whoa, who is this? This is a doppelganger. Who is this? Who is this? A skinwalker? Who killed her? I glanced up. To my utter amazement, she was smiling. Thanks for asking. Did you and Gail switch clothes? What? Stunned by her response, I watched as she scooped a portion of eggs into her plate and a few hash browns before strolling away toward the table. As I filled up my plate, the others started filtering to the room. Arran and Stefan first, then Rufus, Dana, and Gail, and finally Sharif. I stepped away from the buffet as they all crowded round, picking up a hash brown and popping into my mouth. It crunched satisfyingly in my mouth, overriding the pain response from being slightly too hot. There was a smattering of chat as people helped themselves to the buffet. I noticed Dana looked pretty rough. Bags under her eyes, unfocused gaze. God damn, how long had she stayed up drinking? I guess that was why she'd not appeared during last night's kerfuffle. One by one, they spread out across the lounge, clustering to groups. Stefan, Sharif, and Arran were seated at the top of the conference table we'd had our meeting at last night. Stefan was excitedly blabbering, Arran chuckling and nodding along. Sharif was surprisingly attentive, not speaking but observing, sipping his tea. Holy shit, did Sharif just smile? Gail and Tabby were seated with Dana and Rufus around the sofa where the Caprine sisters had their arguments the previous night. Gail and Rufus were their usual gregarious selves while Tabby was quiet and focused on her food. Dana was mostly shifting the rather meager portion of food on her plate around, resting her head in her hand. I knew very well the look of someone nursing a hangover. She did perk up when Gail asked her something, like a switch had been flipped. She became animated, whatever effects of the hangover seemingly forgotten. Who we go to, man? What about the gals? I am curious. As I walked over, Dana was having an intense discussion with Gail. Tabby and Rufus were idly chatting. I was pretty amazed at the difference in Tabby since last night. Like earlier, she was not exactly bright and cheery, but certainly more talkative than I'd seen her till now. Hey, mind if I sit here? Of course not, sit. I took a sit pretty much where I'd sat last night. Rufus was next to me, then Tabby, Gail, and finally Dana. We were clustered around the two small tables, which they'd pulled together to form a larger surface to sit our plates. Although most of them had their plates on their laps and were using the rather small tables to rest their drinks. So anyway, the prick walked up to me while I was on my way to work, shoving a camera in my face, starting doing the usual journal stuff, asking leading questions. I got physical, nothing big, I just pushed him. Oh dear. He fell, didn't break anything, bones or his camera, but that got put in the news for days. I'm sorry, it must have been awful. I leaned in, trying to pick up the conversation. Oh, morning Garret, sleep well? Oh, it was fine, laddie boy. Not used to sleeping on ships, but otherwise I'm good. Dana was just telling us about how the press treated her in the aftermath of the Arran disappearing. I was his daughter, so naturally I became a target. The bitterness dripped from her words. This was the most animated I'd seen her since I'd met her. Controversial Captain McGregor. The amount of shit I had sung at me. I'll smash your boy! That the McGregor we're talking about? Slung at her. I'm Sorry. I don't understand. Did you actually get blamed for the disappearance? Dana ceded, her teeth grinding. My dad was the captain. It's no surprise he got the most scrutiny. What I was not prepared for was how much they'd come to me to dig up dirt on him. I'd have all the juicy deets. Just what those parasites wanted to make their word counts. Her voice shook with barely contained anger. I could understand now why she'd said she wanted to prove her father wasn't responsible for the Arran disappearing. Dad received most of the blame for the Arran going missing, with Carrie being the second on the inquiry's shit list. At this, she threw a venomous glare over at the other table, where Arran was sitting laughing and joking with Stefan and Sharif. I was briefly thrown by the sight of Sharif smiling, so he could smile after all. I'm so sorry. It must have been rough. Her pissed look was quickly replaced with a tired one as she grimaced, touching her forehead. How much did you drink last night? Tabby? Acclaimed professor of tech, Tabby Waters. I was starting to think Gail yelling her name in an irritated fashion was practically a subconscious reflex at this point. Dana ignored her and fumed silently. Tabby rolled her eyes and returned to her food, leaving me, Rufus, and Gail to exchange dismayed looks. Please, God, let this day be better than last night. I don't think I could handle more drama. So, Rufus, I gathered from your story yesterday that you're in the army? Rufus was in the middle of shoving a forkful of food into his gob when I asked. He gestured with a finger in a one-moment look before swallowing. Spent 5 years. I run a gym now, though. I was shocked. Shocked, I tell you. Army was good to me, but after a while I was mostly sitting on my ass passing time. I decided to open a gym with a bud of mine. That how you keep those gains? Oh, hell yeah. Yeah, not gonna lie, if you saw it, you'll be seeing his body, not no cap. I just zoom in on it. He smirked and flexed on an arm, showing off a bulging bicep visible even through his damn, this man is ripped. I admit, I felt some butterflies in my stomach. I wasn't tipping into another word. It's gotta be Lapin, right? I'm just double checking here. Oh god, they're not sponsored. Lapin. That's French. Robot. The French word to rabbit. And its plural form is lapin, lapins. Oh my god. Yeah. Lapins. And then this is Cambridge, buddy. Cambridge. Servine. It is Servine. Lapins and Servine. I've been pronouncing it so wrong. I am sorry, everyone. I wasn't typically into Servines, but I was into his accent and his figure and his kind of himbo-ish aura. Himbo? Excuse me? Hit me up after this trip is over. I'll make Amazonians out of y'all. Gail, Tabby, and Dana all chuckled and I found myself laughing along. Someone's mood is much improved. Her comment caught me off guard. I gave her a quizzical look, only to hear a gentle thwap thwap thwap. My tail was wagging, beating against the sofa. Aw, you're so much more cute when you're happy, Garret. Hey! Already I could feel the heat in my cheeks. Mom, man. And with so many eyes on me, my hand automatically tugged my fringe down. And infuriatingly, my tail only wagged harder, the thwopping sound increasing in volume and frequency. They all shared an even bigger laugh, and Rufus slapped a big hand on my shoulder. Good thing I didn't have any food in my mouth, or I'd have sprayed it all over the table from the impact. But goddamn, are you a scrawny fella. Here. Took his plate and scraped the 2 vegetarian sausages he had into mine. You need some protein, boy? Come by the gym later on. I'll fix you up a program to put some meat in those bones. He roared with laughter and the girls all joined in. On one hand, this kind of attention would ordinarily be my worst nightmare. But they were warm and kind in a way that was a far cry from last night, where they had been at each other's throats. To my immense frustration, it only made my tail wag harder. I chuckled along, feeling a little lighter in myself, but I still fiddled with my fringe. No offense, Garret, but are you really that sensitive about your eye? My hand whipped away from my hair as I was called out. I met her grinning gaze with a startled look. No, I was just... You look fine, Garret. You don't need to hide your eye. It's nothing to be ashamed of, buddy. Think of it as a way to offset the twink look. Makes you look more dangerous. Don't call me that. I protested, cringing at the slight whine in my voice. He gave a hearty laugh, putting his arm around my shoulder and pulling me against him. Tabby snorted with laughter and Gail gave me a sly look. Twink? Do I even want to know? Oh man, so last night, I raised out an ineffectual protest as he recounted the events of last night. In a surprisingly sensitive way, at least for Tabby, he didn't mention her scream being us out of our cabins, only the power cut. The others chugged along, Tabby slightly less so, but her bright mood didn't fade. I imagine she was grateful for him skipping the part about her nyctophobia. Rufus, whether he was aware or not, squeezed me against him in a jovial way, but being squished like this against him meant I could feel his warmth against me. And of course, my tail went into overdrive. Canine Lupus. The wolf. I fucked up. That's a wolf. Wolf and dogs pretty much share the same thing. When they're overly happy, their tails go overdrive. They go helicopter, helicopter. But yeah, beating the sofa as I burned under my fur. Rufus, you're crushing me. He thankfully released me. The girls got a good chuckle at my embarrassment. Tabby was watching me with a strange look, as if analyzing me. When our eyes met, she gave me a mischievous grin, but didn't say anything. With a mood much lighter than it had been at the start of the conversation, we chatted lightly as we finished our breakfast. I was loath to admit that I did indeed finish the sausages Rufus had given me. I didn't speak much, preferring to listen as they gossiped. I kept having to control my tail, becoming aware of its beating against the sofa as my mood lifted and forced it to stop. Of course, after a few minutes of not paying it enough attention, it would naturally start up again. And yet, for the first time since I could remember, I didn't care so much. On top of that, I found myself not playing with my fringe as was my habit when around others. Maybe Joseph was right. I really was an open book. Eventually, we finished our meals and stood, taking our plates over to the kitchen hatch. We all shuffled around the hatch to drop off our plates before coalescing into a vague group in the middle of the Explorers Club. Stefan had produced from somewhere pretty expensive looking camera. I tensed up instantly. I really don't like getting my picture taken. I'm going to head outside for some fresh air and see if I can take some photos. Was thinking I might use the gym if that's okay, June? Of course, knock herself out. Figuratively, of course. June, if you wouldn't mind, I was going to take a look at the cinema. Could you help? There's a cinema in this place? What the swanky danky ship is this? Alrighty. What about the sauna? Might avail myself, that's okay. Oh, I'm sorry, it's not in service right now. Joseph is looking into it though. Hopefully it'll be fixed shortly. I'll be honest, I'd rather have the emergency lights fixed rather than the sauna and whatever. Figures. As everyone dispersed, I found myself unsure what to do. I'd not had a chance to really take in the Sylvia last night, so I figured I might as well have a look around. I pulled out the handbook I'd been given. The facilities all looked kind of bare. The gym looked like a generic cabin with some weight benches and exercise bikes thrown in. The sauna looked okay, but that was obviously out of the question. Besides, I hate intense heat. The cinema kind of looked like a common room someone had thrown some chairs and a projector in, but I guess it might be nice to take in a movie in the evenings. Out in the open sea, you can lose your sanity, boy. You don't want that, laddie. I had to remind myself that this wasn't a holiday and we weren't here to have the time of our lives. The fact we even had these facilities, basic as they were, during this search was something to be grateful for, I suppose. Oh, we didn't even talk with Sharif. I should have saved that. I think I did not. I absolutely did not save that part. I did not save that part. That was on me, everybody. I guess we just save here. So I'm gonna end this video right here, everyone. Thank you for watching, clicking, whatever. Thank you. Good luck on whatever you're doing. I'll be seeing you in the next episode of Polar Night. I'll be doing something on Fridays, or maybe that's a Saturday for me. That'll be Friday for you. But either way, thank you for clicking. Bye.